If you're an aspiring filmmaker, there's a good chance you've experienced this. You shoot a scene, lighting looks good, the actors are good, the camera's expensive, and yet it doesn't feel cinematic. Something's missing. Scene isn't bad, it's just flat. And most of the time, the problem isn't your camera or your actors or your lighting, it's that you're speaking the wrong language. Because filmmaking is a language. And like every language, there's grammar. Today, I want to show you one of the most important pieces of that grammar, the secret language directors use to tell stories without words. Now, the good news is this. Camera language is much simpler than people think. It's easy, actually. By the end of this video, you'll have a pretty good sense of the basics. Most filmmakers imagine that great directing comes from complicated, aesthetic, philosophical choices. But it doesn't. It comes from simple choices. Where you place the camera, how close you place it, whether it moves and why. Master these principles and your film instantly become more cinematic. When I first started teaching filmmaking, I used to tell my students, filmmaking is like learning a foreign language. They looked at me like, they thought I was talking about lens sizes, camera settings, lighting equipment, basic technology. I wasn't. I was talking about visual storytelling. Your audience doesn't experience your film as a collection of shots. They experience it emotionally. Camera language is one of the ways you guide that emotion. The biggest mistake I've seen beginners make is they just point the camera at the action and they expect something interesting to happen. They think the actors are talking, the audience is going to get the drama. They think the drama comes out of what's being shot, but that's just a tiny portion of it. It's not about what's being shot, it's about how you shoot it. Great directors are constantly asking a different question. What is this shot saying? Not showing, saying. Because every shot communicates something. And who's communicating? You. Let's start with one of the simplest ideas in filmmaking, the axis of action. Imagine two actors are standing in a room. A line runs between them. That line is called the axis of action. And you may know it as the 180-degree line. And something fascinating happens. And this is the first part of camera language you need to understand. I want you to tattoo this into your brain. The closer your camera gets to that line, the more dramatic the shot is. Worth repeating. The closer your camera gets to that line, the more dramatic the shot is. Think about a wide shot. We're far away. We see the environment. We see the actors. We understand where we're at. It's useful. It's necessary. You can use this shot to establish a location, to show action, movement. But it's not a particularly emotional shot. Now move closer. Suddenly we're paying more attention. We see expressions, micro reactions, thoughts forming. The scene begins to feel more intimate. Move even closer. Now we're in a close-up and something changes. We're no longer watching the scene, we're experiencing it. Because the human face is the most interesting thing you'll ever photograph. Think about the greatest moments in cinema. Clarice Starling talking to Hannibal Lecter. The final look between Rick and Ilsa in Casablanca. The tears at the end of A Journey in The Lord of the Rings. The big speech at the end of Blade Runner. Tony Stark dying. What are we really watching? Faces. Human beings processing emotion. Closer we get, the more dramatic it becomes. That's the golden rule. That is the basis for everything else. Now, let's start playing with that concept. There's another axis filmmakers often forget, the vertical axis, camera height. Most people place the camera roughly at eye level. Why? Because that's neutral. It's how we see the world. But what happens if we move above the eye line? Now we're looking down, and immediately something changes. The character feels weaker, smaller, more vulnerable. The opposite is also true. Move below the eye line, look up. Suddenly the character feels powerful, dangerous, dominant. And here's what's important. You don't need to do this dramatically. You don't need a camera on the ceiling, although sometimes that's appropriate. Sometimes moving the camera only a few inches above or below the eyes creates a subtle psychological effect. The audience feels it without consciously noticing it. Great filmmaking isn't usually about giant visual statements. It's about tiny choices, tiny nudges, tiny emotional manipulations. A little lower, a little closer, a little slower. Suddenly the audience feels something different. Now let's talk about movement, because when the camera moves, we're now dissecting that line, crossing it, making it longer, moving parallel or perpendicular to it. Now, most camera movement falls into two categories: motivated and unmotivated. Motivated movement means the camera moves because something else is moving. A character walks, camera follows. Someone enters a room, the camera follows. A letter is carried across the frame, the camera follows. Why does this work? Because it feels natural. The audience stops noticing the camera just disappears. Spielberg is a master of this. Watch his films closely. Characters constantly enter and leave scenes. The camera glides with them. Sometimes he even has extras cross the frame just to motivate a camera move. Everything feels effortless. Now let's look at the opposite: unmotivated movement. The camera is moving, but nothing else is. Imagine a horror movie, an empty hallway, nobody there. And yet, the camera slowly pushes forward. The audience immediately asks, why are we moving? What's down there? What am I supposed to be looking at? Suddenly, the audience isn't observing, they're participating. The camera has placed them inside the story. But there's one more reason to move the camera, and this might be the most powerful one: internal movement. Let's say a character receives a letter. They open it, read it. Suddenly their world changes. The character isn't moving, but emotionally they are. So now the camera moves, slowly pushing in. The closer we get, the deeper we move into that emotional experience. Move quickly, shock. Move slowly, slow burn. Pull away instead, isolation, loneliness, distance. This is the core idea of camera language. The camera is not recording reality. The camera is expressing meaning. Every choice communicates something: distance, power, emotion, importance, tension, connection. Filmmakers spend years obsessing over equipment. The truth is, camera language matters far more than what camera you're using. If you are struggling to make your films feel cinematic, don't worry about the gear so much. Start by making better choices, more informed choices. Learn the language. It'll transform your work overnight. People will start noticing. If you connected with this video, this is part of a larger system. I call it the Triple C method: core, choices, communication. Find the core of your work, the big ideas. Make choices that support that core. That includes camera choices. And that communicates meaning and emotion to the audience. If you're interested in learning more, I have some links below. In the meantime, if you want to learn the lighting trick that changed the look of my films forever, check out this video next. And remember, don't just direct your movies, direct your